But yeah, that's one of the challenges.
Then if we're talking about entrepreneurs finding teams, can we be more specific? Because let's assume I'm James.
Hi, James.
I'm the average.
JMO.
Yeah.
Jimo!
I'm the average African male or Kenyan male. Let's say I have an amazing
Are you
idea,
not the
right?
average? Okay.
Yeah. I have an amazing idea. Perfect. And I don't have a team yet. I don't have. Maybe I'm working on it with my friend.
Yeah.
So me and my friend are the ones working on this idea.
Yeah.
Then what's the next step where we have like this great idea, this sort of pitch-like idea? What's
Yeah.
the first thing we do? Do we create something, sort of release it to the market and make it?
Yeah, do an MVP.
Yeah, do like a very
Small.
MVP
Or
because
like
we
a
can't
beta.
afford. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
like
we
a
can't afford
beta
to do
test.
like
Yeah.
a proper MVP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like something small and then go look for a bigger team and like advisors and stuff, or do we go straight to the advisors and then the advisors? will
Yeah.
help
So
with the MVP?
what's the most likely path of success, do you think? And then what are the other options?
So this is also like based on your personality, right?
Yeah.
It's not that like there's no one shoe fits all.
Yeah,
But you have to understand that there's one route that's textbook, quote unquote,
Yeah.
and there's another that's not.
Yeah.
And so if you started out with a small team, like really, like let's just say like you're starting from scratch, writing every line of code, you're on the streets like trying to market this little MVP that you have. At that point in time, what you're looking for is whether this idea works. Like in the smallest sense, does this idea work,
You're looking
right?
for validation.
Exactly. So once you've found this, this really, really minute validation,
Yeah.
it can work. You can see like a future for it. So what you need to do now is you need to now tap into this ecosystem with your idea. And there are challenges to that. Because when we look at traditional investors, this is where the angel comes in. This is where the angel comes in. The angel comes in because he doesn't see like a really fast thriving business. He sees promise in you as an entrepreneur
Yeah.
and the other person or the other few people that are on your team. This is where the angel comes in. So the angel comes in because he knows that you're having challenges reaching the ecosystem. He knows you can't go like a series A or B, so he goes straight to angel investing. And he says, I believe in you. I think you have what it takes. And he holds your hand and he says, he doesn't need the due diligence documents.
Of
Heck, he
course,
doesn't
yeah.
need the letter of incorporation. He doesn't need
Yeah.
your financial models. He just needs to know you will work on this once you have the money. So I think the first step after that is you need to find an angel. Find an angel. It could be friends, family. It could be, someone, you've had a chance meeting with that you've elevator pitched. But yeah, the angel, I'd say, would be the first step there.
Okay. Then on that note, then in regards to after you found the angel and everything, let's say you've sort of gotten to MVP stage.
Yeah.
Right? And then we all know past MVP stage, after you've proved something like the concept in the market, you go to the seed, and then from the seed you have to go, let's say, bigger numbers. You're talking like
actual
above
funding.
$100,000
Yeah.
and up.
Yeah.
That's usually what most seeds started.
Yeah.
And recently a lot of companies have been getting like seeds of $1 million
Yeah.
because of the scale. So when you're now going to this investors, not to the proper VCs who have this big money that are writing this big checks.
2 seconds. Do you want to explain what VCs are? Just for anybody who doesn't know yet.
Oh, so VCs, venture capitalists. I think
Yeah.
he can explain better than me because he is
This is the man.
essentially a venture capitalist
Yes.
at
I
this
mean-
point.
I mean-
or you advise.
Pseudo.
Yeah, I've seen the textbook. So venture capitalists are, I would call them a group of people that have money to invest into new and fast-growing companies and startups. So venture capitalists, like I said, they start off by collecting like legacy funds usually, and then they're a team they're a small team of really experienced professionals, and their mandate, like what they need to do to survive, because that business is finding opportunities in markets that are just exciting. They have to invest in companies that are early stage or growing, so that they get a multiple return on their investment. So they are just I would call them any other investors, except what they're investing in is new companies. So their processes of investing are different. They look at different metrics versus companies. So you'd have, for example, an early stage venture capitalist firm that's only invests in agri-tech,
Yeah.
or one that only invests in fintech, or one that only invests in edtech. So like each of them has very specific mandates, and they then look for opportunities within those fields. So yeah, it's essentially investors that look at early stage to fast growing startups.
Okay. So then the question would be, MVP stage done. Now I'm looking for seed funding.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Where do I go? Do I just type in Google VC people in Nairobi, call up each office, tell them I have this great idea, can I set up a meeting? Do I email people? Do I look for people on LinkedIn?
Yeah, do a LinkedIn raid. Do we
raid offices? Do we just show up?
Do we just do the walk-in? Give me your money.
Kick down doors. Honestly,
This is my idea. Now give me
I'm
your
not
money.
opposed to that view. I think you can kick down some doors, but hey, you do that at your
own risk.
That can be your strategy. I don't know how successful it's gonna be. It's gonna be a roll of the dice. But what I would do is I would find the intermediary, the transaction advisor.
Yeah. Okay, so who is a transaction advisor? Who's that?
So I mean, you have firms that kind of, if you look at the ecosystem, right? If you look at the funding ecosystem, you'll find that everyone is connected in one way, form, shape, or the other, right?
Yeah.
So a transaction advisor could be one person who's worked at an analyst or like a manager at one VC and has worked at one startup, or has worked at, someone who's been part of the ecosystem that's connected. So for example, I personally, this is my strategy. What I would do is I would go to one of the most well-funded, I'd look who's really well-funded in my startup community. I'd see it's like maybe Bolt, or I'd see it's maybe, a fintech. I'd just find out who it is. Whether it's in logistics, you've heard of Sendy, you've heard of like all these really, fast-growing companies, right? So I'd find them, and then I'd just go to the CFO. I'll go to the CFO.
What's the CFO? Who is the CFO?
I don't know who the CFO is, but I know they have a CFO.
No, what does CFO?
Oh, sorry.
The acronym.
CFO, Chief Financial Officer.
Yeah. Chief Financial Officer. I thought you were asking me the literal name.
No.
I don't know. I don't
like,
know.
no, I'm not asking.
You don't know, or you can't tell us.
Don't know. So yeah, I would find the CFO, because that CFO, you'd find that they're not gonna have been at the company for very long, because it's a startup.
Yeah.
And you'd find that the only reason that CFO of that company is because they did the exact same thing for another company, meaning that they have seen like the eyes and the souls of investors across, the entire ecosystem. And honestly, I say ecosystem, but it's actually not that large. You'll find like maybe 15 to 20 really active funds like in this space.
Yeah. Okay.
Only. Like very active. So you'll find that, if you meet one of the CFOs, that we call them portfolio companies, one of those portfolio companies that have been invested in by these funds, this CFO will have they won't have just asked one, they'll have talked to like all 15 of them, gotten investment from like 2. Yeah. So I would go straight to the CFO, maybe a couple of CFOs. I'd find 3 startups, go to each of those 3 CFOs, tell them about my idea, providing it's not conflicting directly with their companies, right? And then that's when you get your insider information, because this person has not only raised this money successfully raised, they know what they needed to do to meet each and every criteria of every single VC that they're approaching. So I'd go to them first, validation. I have an idea. I've done an angel. What do you think I can do better? And the CFO will just tell you. They'll look at your models and say, you don't have this, you need this. This person will ask you for this. Yeah. Some investors will be like, give me a 10-year, plan. Some will be like, okay, what's your 3-year, but in this much detail. So like you will get at that point really insider information. Going directly to VCs, like a lot of them, especially here, they do not take unsolicited proposals.
Yeah.
Meaning like it's a network. They have to be part of a network, and the network kind of filters the ideas that they receive.
It'll feed them. It feeds them.
So
the
like
ideas.
you will never find a VC saying open to applications, apply for $1 million. Like you will never find that. you'll find that it's always network driven. So you go find the CFO of one of these firms. I would say, I say CFO, not CEO, because the CFO does a lot of the technical.
Yeah, that's true.
Financial.
Yeah, exactly. He does the he does the technical aspects of the transaction.
Yeah.
Find the CFO, validate with them, and then get them to make the introductions for you. Because
So that you're going through the system.
exactly, you're going through the system. Honestly, if you just like, it's like, for example, getting a job. Like, you can flung your CV at every single door, but like, but if somebody,
Introduces
if
you.
someone part of that network introduces you,
Yeah.
and they're credible, then you have a much better chance.
Yeah.
So I would say, knock down the doors of those CFOs.
So you need to be able to have good networking skills
Yeah,
as well to be
yeah,
able to talk
yeah,
to people.
yeah.
From your experience, a CFO is very helpful, very open to helping. So you go to a CFO and they're like, "I'll gladly help you." Are they, most of them, like, yeah?
I
Yeah.
think you have to look at people in the finance field as just people looking to make more capital.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you give them a chance to make more capital,
Okay.
like,
so you're going and offering
yeah,
something.
so
you're
you're
not just
going-
asking for help.
Exactly, because
Pro bono.
exactly,
There
'cause
has to be value, exchange of
there
value.
has to be an exchange of value. Because
Okay.
even if that CFO introduces, this potential, unicorn startup to a fund, like that's their name that they're enhancing. That's their field that they're being recognized for. So I think this is when your idea comes into play.
Okay.
Because you meet a CFO that will be like, excellent idea, how is it gonna make money? And you can answer that question, then it's not that valuable to them. But sometimes they'll be like, this is a fantastic idea, say less, come meet my come meet the homies. So
Let's get you into the system.
Yeah.
We start working things out.
exactly. And as an entrepreneur, like, your main skill past the startup stage is going to be an ambassador role. You're
Yeah.
going to be your company's ambassador
Correct.
to all these funders. Like, you're gonna be your company's ambassador to your customers. Like, you'll
You're the
step
face,
out.
yeah.
Exactly. You step out of your building and technical role into, like, I am the face of these interactions.